Computer says yes. Okay, good. Hello, everyone. So, before we get started, I will just do a little bit of housekeeping because, like, my marketing team always says, like, I have to say this. This is me. Also, I'm the result what happens when you study arts and then software engineering afterwards. So, you know, my designer and my technologist brain, they have a lot of fun together upstairs. Might explain a lot. These are the people we are working with. These are our clients, customers. Unfortunately, I can't tell you everything in details because I'm plastered with NDAs. But I can talk a lot about the topic around and what are the issues actually are, and I can tell you a lot of stories. And this is what I want to do. I'm going to tell you some stories on the way to Mars, of course. Also, as a little gimmick, we are actually expert advisors for the McKinsey in the Business of Fashion report. If you go to our website, there is a link. You can download it for free. This is like, you know, fashion actually started to talk about what we're going to do in the future. And we are the technology advisors for that. Right, okay, good. So by now, everybody has entered. Come in, it's fine, there is more space. Because we're going on a journey together now. Right, okay, so what do we do the whole day? We are thinking about what we're going to wear tomorrow. You know, especially in the technology industry sector, we are thinking about how we're gonna fly to the orbit. I've heard you can buy tickets for next year already, right? We're talking about flying taxis, autonomous cars, in all of them. And you see all of those amazing pictures, but like look closely. There's something wrong. They're wearing the same clothes as we do today. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna wear a cotton t-shirt while we're traveling to Mars. Well, but the question is what? We actually. So, finally, because before we're talking about the future, I want to talk with you about the past, because guess what? That whole topic around wearable technology, like the zipper was and is, or new mobility, it actually has happened before in the past. Right? And we can learn a lot from that. There's like my artist, historian, study training coming in. There's actually a really funny story about the zipper we can learn, because there was a whole debate around like, well, no, so we can't use a zipper because it's like wearable technology and, you know, they will buy it because of the function and not because of the design. There's a very funny newsletter article about that they actually had to train shop assistants to train customers how to use the new technology with the zippers, especially when they came into the pants. Sounds really familiar, right? So they were exactly the same issues. Also, this zipper was invented by an engineer for shoes, for bags, and then later for people. The very latest for women, because back then they thought it was very difficult for women to be able to undress and dress very quickly. True story. But also what happened around that time was everything became faster. There was a new wave of mobility happening. We were able to move faster. That also means we became busier. That also meant we had to be able to dress faster to, save time. So it's, again, really interesting because we're exactly in the same situation. And of course, and this is where we come to the point why designers are so important. The engineer invented it, but the designer actually brought it into fashion, made it pretty, gave it different colors, and now it's normal. So, same thing with like mobility, new mobility. There was a bicycle. That was a super awesome invention, right? It made people mobile, especially women. And there were innovations around it because there was a new form of mobility, but there were not dresses made for it. So one of the cool examples is actually, this is a patent from a seamstress, which registered an athletic suit for ladies. So it still was a corset, but it was flexible, so you can ride on a bicycle, right? I was like, okay, this is cool. So like, now we are also, again, in a new form of mobility, so, what are we going to wear now? Where are the patents? I will come to that later. If you want to know more about it, we actually released a future fashion trend report around that. There are so many stories and pretty pictures. Again, feel free to go to the website. There's everything there. Right, so let's talk about the present, because I'm not the only crazy person who is talking about this. This is actually also turning into a very serious business model and opportunity. Anybody knows this? That is a Google jacket with Levi's. 2017, a traditional textile company came together with a software company and they made a product. And it's a trucker jacket. And it's smart. The smart thing is it has conductor thread on the sleeve. It's attached to a Bluetooth connector, and which is then, of course, connected to your Google phone. And with a simple touch on your sleeve, you can change the music, take the phone call from your mom, reject the phone call from your boss, all of them. So it's a very simple application, but the difference is that they put it on the market and you were able to buy it. Not in Europe though, in the US, but at least it was the first step. So all of a sudden, everybody was like, okay, should like software engineers talk with textile engineers? Maybe. And then there was the next update earlier this year. There was a software update for the jacket, because now you can call an Uber with it. Right? But isn't it interesting from a software perspective? In the end of the day, what this jacket is, it's a framework. Good quality, you can wear it for a long time, but you add functions through a software update because you just digitize the textiles. Oh, and it's washable, just 10 times, but hey, at least something. Even more so, just a few weeks ago, they launched a second generation. So this is not a trucker jeans jacket, this is the normal jeans jacket. They have like 50 shades of jeans jackets in their collection, Levi's. And this time, you actually control the jacket with gesture control. The Bluetooth device became a third smaller. And of course, you can buy this. Right? So it's, again, really interesting, also because it comes from a software company, innovation in textile. Well, also, they're not the only ones. This is an amazing story by a wonderful person called Billy Whitehouse. She's also in the room. We will meet her later. And she invented the digital yoga pants, in ADX. Anybody here who's doing yoga? Right, the girls, excellent. So the thing is with sports and yoga and everything is like, I'll tell you a secret, is like you can actually harm your body more if you do the wrong exercise. Then you can actually support it. So this is why you need a yoga teacher, but we don't have time for that. We travel all the time. So the important thing is with yoga, you have the right angle. So of course, what's the best one is like you actually put sensors in there, which know like that you have the X and the Y axis absolutely correct. And if you don't, your pants will tell you because they will vibrate a little bit. And that is so amazing because, of course, it also comes with software updates, right? So there's so many things, once you have a wearable framework, there are so many things you can do. Also, you add an extra function to your clothes, right? So you can say that's a different form of sustainability. Also, these pants are especially amazing is, again, because you can buy them. I think every technical university has done a heating jacket, integrated robots stuff in some kind of piece of clothing, but they were all prototypes. We are now talking about an industry where they're focusing going on the market, and that's really interesting. Everybody knows this, right? Back to the Future, everybody wanted these shoes. And of course, in 2018, Nike made those shoes. These ones. The reason why it was that late after the movie is simply because the electronics finally became small enough that you can actually fit them in shoes. Because, of course, in the beginning, when, smart people developed batteries and sensors, they kind of didn't think about that you want to put it in shoes or they have to be washable or bendable or something like that. Interesting challenge. Right, okay, so everybody knows this, right? So the shoes, you can get them for a lot of money, but hey. That is the latest edition from this year. So again, they're smaller, they're tougher, and they come with an app. So this is not only about that you can, tie your shoelaces. This is also, you can actually see like how you walk. You can analyze how you walk. Do you walk in the right way? Do you need like kind of inlays? And I think also you can make them glow. Or we just wait for the next software update. This is Nike. This is a shoemaker, right? Next one, Sony. Sony is all going into wearable technology, but this time with displays, with e-ink display. That's like the stuff you have in the Kindle. It's like digital ink, right? So the cool thing with the digital ink, it's bendable, and it actually doesn't need battery, just a Bluetooth connector, right? So they released a collection with wristwatches and with shoes. Because then again, you have a shoe and you're like, okay, I like to have another pattern. Can we do a software update, please? Right? And they're all pushing to go ready for the market. Louis Vuitton, that was 3 months ago, runway, Louis Vuitton integrating wearable displays into handbags. Looks a little bit funny, eh? But we've thought about that with the zipper in 1851 as well. We're gonna get used to it, but you can see a trend happening here. These are all big brands meddling with electronics. Also, of course, big topic, circular economy. Everybody talking about, in the fashion context, about sustainability, going natural fibers, all of that. Well, as we techies know, you only can do full circular economy, which means tracking the entire workflow from where the yarn comes from, who made the shoes, who packed the shoes, where did we actually ship them. You can only do this with technology, right? So if you might have noticed that like a lot of high luxury companies actually started to hire software engineers a lot. Louis Vuitton just introduced a blockchain platform. Yeah. So, just in case you're looking for a new job. What are we talking about? We're talking about this is the state now, same as back then. Our materials, everything what we wear, everything what we use has to have more than one function because we have to become faster and we have to become more sustainable, So things have to do more than just one thing. And this is now interesting where we're talking about like who is going to make it. This is a good example if you designers out there, as an example, this is what happens if you leave technologists alone. It's a very cool project, but there is a reason why this never went to market. This is another version how you can actually do this. This is the wonderful Pauline van Dongen. She invented the solar sweater in 2015. Flexible solar panels integrated in a lovely knitted sweatshirt. And it works. I was wearing it myself. It totally works, right? So there is no problem making this. The question is like, who is making it? Technology-wise, designer-wise, it's absolutely possible. We have a lot of back orders for that, right? So what are we talking about for companies? The interesting thing is, because what we're doing here now is like we're integrating the textile companies together with an electronics and the software companies. technology-wise, this is actually totally possible. But the reality is that a textile company, for instance, who wants to do a Google jacket, shoes, something, legally they're turning into an electronic supplier. At that moment, you just see a lot of people on the board just like falling off their chairs. You're just like, we have no idea what to do with that, what shall we do? We know about textiles, but electronics. Same with the software engineers and with the electronics companies. So like, textiles, fashion, and the room is empty. The interesting thing, though, is that the market is becoming so strong, the demand for those products is becoming so strong that there has to be a solution, has to be found, right? Again, technology-wise, everything possible. We're talking about that people have to rethink and say like, okay, yes, we've done this for a long time, but now we're working with a different industry. Let's figure this out. Very interesting, Microsoft started to file patents around smart interior design in the last years, and they got it granted. It's been all happening in the back end. So this is an application for that you can sit on a smart couch, and based on your posture, it knows if it's like the granddad, if it's like the child, if it's the teenager, if you sludge, or if you have a heart attack because your posture changes. And then you can, connect it with whatever you want to have, with lights and whatsoever. Apple did that as well, with the difference they didn't only file it for the US, they also filed it for France and Germany and, smart textiles. So this is all happening very quietly. BMW car manufacturers going into textiles, and here comes a little insight. The interesting thing is that car manufacturers focusing a lot on smart textiles, like haptic response. So like you touch it, and then there's some light, you can change colors, lights, volume of the music or something like that. Why? So, not for us because we are nerds here, right? We love technology, but the broad masses, they're afraid of technology, the broad, market. And why? Because they're afraid that technology is making us less human. And they also associate technology with glass and steel and, cold materials. So we talked with the interior designers from automotive, and they said like they actually do that on purpose because textiles it's very haptic. It makes you feel cozy. Have you thought about why Alexa and like Google Voice actually have a textile component? Because it becomes a part of your interior. It makes you feel homely, right? And also, very pragmatically speaking, is like you don't need any dials, you don't need displays, you just need like less parts to manufacture because especially with electronic cars, you need to save weight, right? So ding, 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 ding. Very interesting, right? Funny story, Vogue US actually asked artists what we're going to wear on Mars in the future, 2000, right? So this was really interesting because they asked artists. So they completely ignored the state of technology and said like, okay, let's start as we would call it, reverse engineering. Let's start on a point where it makes sense. One of the designs they actually came up with, this is a mobile telephone sitting here, those handheld telephones, and a mobile radio on the belt. Isn't that interesting? Like, we have all of that. It looks a little bit different, but the basic functions we have. Luckily, we don't have to wear the antenna. But I found that very interesting. So, we actually got a bunch of designers, philosophers, biotechnologists together in a group, and we actually said, like, okay, what are we going to wear on Mars? After they also arrived at the presentation just before. What are we going to wear on Mars, not while we live there, not for work, but actually while we live there, right? And one of the interesting things was actually for them was circular economy, cradle to cradle, meaning like, you can't afford to have a single piece of materials or technology wasted. So it also has to come from somewhere, and it had to go in a circle, and it has to end somewhere with a purpose. So One of the issues in those Mars colonies, for instance, is air ventilation. All of the materials we're wearing now, they are losing fibers. And those fibers are actually like clogging up the air ventilation. A little bit of a difference when you want to still breathe, right? So one of the concepts actually was that, working with, nanotechnology where you don't have these fiber particles. So for instance, you actually like spray your body because there's one thing, like you don't want to walk around naked, but you have to cover yourself somewhere. Another idea was actually that every morning you just 3D print your garment. You're going to wear it. What do you do during the day? You sweat. What is your sweat? It has minerals. So you actually feed the clothes you have, and then in the end you use it as a fertilizer for the garden. Because at the next morning, you just 3D print another dress. I'll have it pink, darling, this morning. Thank you. Why not? One of the things we actually narrowed down is like really important, is like its shape. So that means like adaptive shape. So like when it gets cooler, the sleeve gets longer automatically. If it gets warmer, the sleeve gets shorter, right? This is actually a picture from a visionary video from Lacoste, those polo shirts guys, they actually thought about that 5 years ago already. They made a video around it, Also, again, they were artists. They didn't care about the technology. They said like, yeah, that would be really cool, right? Also, if you talk with astronauts, which I do, they're actually working, it's called shape-shifting textiles. If you want to Google it, very cool. It's coming. And I know it's coming because in the past, stretch material, the whole spandex kind of stuff, that wasn't invented for fashion, that was invented for astronauts. And then it came into fashion. So we'll have the same with shape-shifting textiles, right? The other thing is temperature control, warm, cold kind of stuff. Been done 50,000 times already, easy. Also because it's really windy on Mars. And the temperature is a little bit different to here in Porto. So you kind of need like a good jacket, which is adaptive. And of course, protection. And protection not in terms of that we think we're going to fight each other, but protection in terms of like when you fall, we have a lot of accidents in the workforce, so you kind of have like an airbag somewhere integrated, but not that you look like a Michelin man. So really, really interesting what the kind of things we actually need. Also, all of those basic technologies we already have. It's not about the technology, which is the problem to make this. And then we went a little bit crazy. So on the left, there's a project from the MIT. This is actually like an electronic tattoo where you can actually turn your body into a user interface. So the same thing what we're doing with the textiles, you touch it, volume up and down. The cool thing about electricity is pretty cool because it doesn't care in which form it flows, it just wants to run. So if it runs on your skin or in the textiles, it just runs, right? So if you have conductive material which you use as a tattoo, and with that you can do interfaces. Cool. Might be interesting, the education workshop for the tattooists these days. Maybe they have to talk with electronic engineers. Interesting. And the other stuff also is, of course, is like, why should we wear shoes? Like, why should we spend so many resources actually making shoes? Because on Mars, we have very limited resources. How about we just biohack our bodies so like our feet are actually strong enough so we can walk on Mars? Right? Yeah. So this is what happens when you let artists going loose on that kind of stuff. And a big topic was living with robots. We have to find a way living with robots, not knowing maybe if you are the robot or the other person is the robot. So that was a really interesting debate. But the thing is about, also as my colleague just before said, like this is not about that robots taking over. This is about that we are living with robots together. Because in the end of the day, we're already living with robots. Look at your computer, at your sewing machine. Manufacturing machines, they are all, that's robots, We are living with technology. It just like comes step by step. So this is totally normal, especially if they look like as awesome as this one. Right? I would like to have that one when I was a child, playing with it. About the dress, I don't know. The shoes, maybe. So, I've been talking about a lot the fact that, and as all you know, technology-wise, this is actually not an issue. So what is the issue? Me being German, I love to talk about problems. It's the humans. It's about that we are in a very exciting time where industries joining together, where people have to think in a new way. Also, there's a far smarter person who said that, which is exactly, and he said it like 20 years ago, so it's, but it's the most important mindset at the moment is like, we're in a time where a textile engineer, an astronaut, and a software engineer go into a bar, ... And this is not the beginning of a bad joke, this is actually the reality. That means opening up for something you've never heard, you've never done it that way, and then learn it, and then unlearn it, and then relearn it, right? We use it like, iteration. But yeah, so I challenge you to, in the next days, to talk with somebody you usually wouldn't talk to. For you techies, maybe they're fashion designers. I know it feels a little bit odd. Don't worry, they will feel as odd as you. But it's going to be really interesting, especially here in Porto, where you have manufacturing frameworks around it. I mean, like, that those machines are like computers and you can hack them, right? So just imagine what like the amazing things you can do, right? So, yes, I can talk about it for 10 hours. Come to me. I glow in the dark, so you won't be able to miss me, especially at the party tonight. I'm usually at the bar. And then I'm also very happy to tell you all about our new venture, because that's the reason why I actually moved to Porto. I'm a local now. I'm learning Portuguese. Help me, please. We just started a manufacturing company which is exactly doing things like this. The electronics and the textiles, right? If you want to work with me on that, just come to me. Thank you very much.